to Testbook Super Coaching for JAIIB CAIIB exams. कैसे आप सब लोग? Yes, so today we are going to discuss about the most repeated questions usually asked in RBWM paper when it comes to all the modules. So that part we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay, before going to start today's lecture, if you have any questions, any queries, any kind of doubts, so you can ask me those doubts, those queries, and those questions in the comment section. So 30 questions we will discuss in today's session, and those 30 questions or the related topics to those questions are usually asked in the exam, so we'll cover that. So it's a mixed module, all the modules together we will cover these 30. There will be another session tomorrow which will be on the most repeated questions or the most repeated topic oriented factor. So in that way we are going to conduct. So next 30 to 40 minutes we will discuss these 30 questions and exactly what is the mindset behind repeating these questions will be really very crucial. So it's an easy part, not that difficult. Before going to start the session, before going to start today's lecture, if you are yet to subscribe our channel, please एक बार चैनल को भी सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिएगा. ओके, तो शुरू करते हैं, स्टार्ट करते हैं. Another thing, this is the Telegram group from where you are going to get the information about the coming sessions, as well as you can download the notes, download the MCQs from this particular Telegram group. So first question, which is one of the most repeated question, is how does retail banking extend its service to customers? So it's very easy question. Of course, what are the questions they are repeating in the exams? They are one of the very easiest questions, no doubt about that. So how does retail banking extend its services to customer? Through branch only, through technology-driven electronic off-site delivery channels only, through both branches and technology-driven electronic off-site delivery channel, through corporate banking services. So yes, answer of this question is very easy. 3 is the answer, C is the answer of this question, through both branches as well as technology driven. So yesterday also in the mock test we talked about such kind of question, such kind of point. So yes, answer of this question is C. I'll go to the next question. How does a large number of clients benefit retail banking? So when it comes to large customer of clients benefit the retail banking, increase marketing, selling opportunities, increase credit risk, decrease the ability of categorize, select clients, decrease customer loyalty. So how does large number of clients benefit the retail banking? Answer of this question is increases marketing and selling opportunities, because if the customer base is more, obviously selling opportunities are more. We can't talk about the credit risk. Okay, no, we can't, because it will be depending on what kind of customers are taking loan. There are documentations, there are so many things. So this is very wrong to comment on. These two things are absolutely not correct. So first thing is absolutely right, because it increases marketing as well as opportunity to sell more products to the more client, and that's why in retail banking this is a really very important factor. Now we'll go to the next question. What is the main reason for penalties being levied on the banks? Okay, one of the main reason जब बैंकों के ऊपर penalties लगाई जाती है, like RBI Act of 1934, Section 46, Section 47, Section 51. They are the very common sections. Through these sections, RBI giving or RBI implementing penalties or fine on many banking institutions. So one of the main reason is for failing to protect consumers' interest and for unfair practices. For example, suppose there is no proper classification of the loan, there is no proper KYC documentation, there are some unfair practices where customers are getting troubled. Many of the times even some different institutions like financial intelligence unit, they are also implementing fine on the banking institution. So one of the main reason under Section 46, Section 47 along with Section 51 of Banking Regulation Act of 1934, the reason is C, falling or to protect consumers' interest and for unfair practices. So C is the answer of this most common question. Next, what is the message for banks in developing countries who want to participate in the retail banking? What is the message for banks in developing countries who want to participate in the retail banking, especially for developing countries for that? So they should be committed to treating their customers fairly and put in place appropriate system and processes. They can participate without any commitment to fair practices. They should refrain from participating in the retail banking. None of the above. Of course, answer of this question is one, very easy, that they should commit to treating their customers fairly and put in place appropriate system and process, because there will be huge number of customer, large number of customer, different categorization of the customer, and for that purpose you should have a very strong infrastructure, very strong system, so that you can fulfill all the requirements for the another retail banking. So if you don't have that much good infrastructure or good system, then it will create a very problematic situation for you. और वही factor यहाँ पे है. And you need to treat the customer well, because they are going to give you a further business, and that's the point which is important. Yes, we'll go to the next question. What has been the impact of pandemic on the banking industry? Now, this question was asked 2-3 times. Okay, of course, after the pandemic, they asked this question. So, this question repeated 2-3 times in the exam after COVID-19. So, again, it can come because what has been the impact? And the impact is it accelerated the shift towards digital ways. Yes, of course, many people shifted towards digital ways. Many banks started creating their apps. Many of the public sector banks, they were not that much active digitally, but after COVID-19, the digitalization spread like anything. Well, of course, before that, when demonetization happened, after 2016, digitalization process started very rapidly in the Indian banking system. But the greater push, or the greater, I will say, support, or the greater not support, but greater push was given by the COVID-19 lockdowns or the pandemic. And yes, answer of this question is C. How have fintech impacted to the digital payment ecosystem? They have slowed down the growth of digital payments. They have been less successful than the traditional banks. They have dominated and driven the growth for the digital payments. They have not made a significant impact. Of course, they played an impact, a wonderful impact, no doubt about that. Fintech companies make the customer's life very easy, and banking sector benefited a lot. So they have dominated and driven the growth of digital payment. That's why many banks started their own UPI apps, started their own UPI facilities on their apps, providing many benefits, so that the customer should also use their facilities rather than the fintech facility. But fintechs are doing really wonderful job, and due to that, digital payment widely spreaded, widely used in a country like India, and all over the world. If you talk about all over the world, the real-time gross settlements or the real-time gross payments are very high in number, especially when it comes to Indian economy with respect to bigger economy like China, even with comparison with USA, and that's the main reason, that is fintech companies. Yes, we'll go to the next question. What is the primary concern of banks and financial institutions in the digital banking age? What is the primary concern they have? That's a question in front of us. So what is the primary problem or what primary issue right now when it comes to these institutions? Cyber security threats, regulatory scrutiny, reputational damage, all of the above. The answer is the biggest problem when it comes to this particular, when it comes to the financial, so all of the above, because cyber security threats are of course there. Then regulatory scrutiny is there, because when you are using the digital banking, when you are going with the digital stuff, so more and more regulatory concepts are there, new regulatory norms are there. So scrutiny is another the big thing which many banks were not able to handle initially. So that is one of the threat they have, no doubt about that. Then reputational damage, because continuously if your system is getting failed, continuously if your software is not performing, continuously the payment from your banking system is not successful, so of course reputational damage will be there. This thing happened recently with the IndusInd Bank. Before that, it was happened with the HDFC Bank. Even like few months back, same thing happened with the Kotak Mahindra Bank. And whenever these things happen, RBI put some restrictions on this banking institution under regulatory scrutiny, because their digital payments are not getting successful. And that's why there were some restrictions, there were some penalties implemented by RBI, and that's why all the factors are absolutely correct when it comes to this particular question, which was asked many of the times. We go to the next question. What is the most important measure to be implemented in banks to maintain adaptive security architecture? What is the most important measure to be implemented in banks to maintain adaptive security architecture? Continuous monitoring of the network, approved and complaint configurations, well-defined security policy, none of the above. So what do you think? What can be the answer of this? Most important measure for adaptive security architecture, yes, answer is well-defined security policy. Well-defined policy should be there, and that's why RBI is asking all the regulated entities, REs, that they should have well-defined structure. Even the bank's board of directors are also working on that. They have the separate sub-board for this concept for the well-defined security policy, which will be the crucial factor. We'll go to the next question. What are the advantages of retail banking? Advantages of retail banking: high risk, less customer loyalty; low income, less potential for cross-selling; high cost of servicing and high delinquencies; less risk, relatively more income; strong customer loyalty; stable model with a less volatility; higher potential for cross-selling. Answer is very simple, because rest of the three options are not in a mentioned in a positive angle. All the three options are very negative. The only option which is positive, and that is the last option, that less risk, relatively more income, strong customer loyalty, stable model with a less volatility and higher potential for the cross selling. So yes, answer of this question is of course D is the answer for this particular question. I'll go to the next. What is the main aim of SBU approach in business? We discussed many questions regarding SBU in last few sessions. Strategic business units, we talked about strategic business units in banking sector. It is widely used. So what is the main aim for aim of SBU approach in businesses? To divide businesses based on the function, to divide businesses based on the product offering and the market segment, to adapt a cohesive approach to tackle problems, to divide businesses based on the departments. Answer of this question is to divide businesses based on the product offering and the market segment. Last time also we discussed, even yesterday, day before yesterday, we talked about SBU approach. When it comes to SBU approach, the one thing is very important, that you need to divide the business depending on the product offering, what kind of product offerings are there, and market segment. So depending on that, you are going to divide the business. Strategic business units are going to work like that. So small units will focus on those products or those market segments to make them profitable, to make them more linked to the customer. So loyalty will be maintained and the product delivery will be very fast, as well as the profitability will get boosted. And that is a major reason behind this particular question or this particular thing. Next question. What is the revealed by going further deep into the models of retail banking followed by the bank? What revealed by going further deep into the models of retail banking followed by the banks? The real depth of the retail banking, the efficiency of the total model, the relevance of each element, the interdependency of these elements for the success of the models. So what can be the answer? Yes, guys. Answer of this question is interdependency of these elements for the success of the models. Okay, so when we discuss about all the models, there is always a one point, there is an interdependency that linked to each other. They are having a very good linkage, and then the success will be there. And that is a major factor when we discuss about the models of retail banking. Next question. What is the main difference between new generation private banks and the old generation private banks in terms of approach to retail banking? Before 1991, that is called old private sector banks, and after LPG, after liberalization, privatization, globalization, what are the private banks started working? It's called as a new private bank. So what are the differences? New generation private banks focus more on customer business profit targets. Old generation private banks focus more on aggressive positioning. New generation private banks want to be in the top slot across all the class of the banks. Old generation private banks do not have well-defined positioning platforms. Yes, answer is new generation private banks want to be top slot across all class of the banks. Old private sector banks worked very conservatively, and that was one of the main reasons that they were not converted into the the public sector banks in 1960 and 1980 because their working was very conservative, very the traditional ways. When the new private sector banks, they try to capture the market like anything in every angle, like either it's a asset management, either it's a cross selling, either it's a corporate banking or the retail banking. In every angle they try to capture the market, and that was a major reason. So answer of this question is a C. We'll go to the next question. What are some of the multiple products included in the retail banking? What are some of the multiple products included in the retail banking? Only credit cards, only personal loans, deposits, accounts, credit and debit cards, loans, insurance, mutual funds, only internet banking. Yes, the answer is of course C is the answer, because deposit accounts, like it consists of all the deposits, demand as well as time deposits, credit cards, debit cards, loan, insurance, mutual fund. So retail banking, the benefit of retail banking is that you can give all types of products which bank is selling, or bank is having tie-up with any other institution like insurance companies or the mutual funds. Even those products will be easily available, and that is a major factor behind the retail banking. That's why banks are looking towards this as a very good source of business, which we all know about. We'll go to the next question. What is the main advantage of retail asset products for banks? Main advantage of retail asset products for banks. Risk diversification, large customer base, better spreads in income, all of the above. The main advantage of retail asset products for banks. Risk diversification, large customer base, better spreads in income, and all of the above. Answer of this is all of the above, obviously. Okay, so advantage is risk diversification is there, okay, because you are going to have a multiple different type of product, different type of customers, so risk diversification will be there. Okay, like when it comes to corporate banking, there will be a similar type of risk, so risk diversification scope is very less. Large customer base, which we all know about, and the better spreads in income, because different type of customers are there, different sectors you can easily tap, and that's why there will be a better way of income, or income quality will get increased under the camel's norm, and that's the case. So yes, answer is all of the above. We'll go to the 15th question. What is the goal of almost all banks in extending retail asset products to customer? What is the goal of almost all banks in extending retail asset products to the customer? To improve lifestyle and fulfill aspirations of the people through affordable credit, to increase their income from fee-based businesses, to enhance their equity, and to expand their real asset space. Yes, guys, what is the goal of almost all banks in extending retail asset products to the customer? Answer of this question is to expand their retail asset space. Okay, so to expand that particular, and that's why, because जितने ज़्यादा retail assets रहेंगे, जितने ज़्यादा opportunities रहेंगी, that will be more profitable for them, and that is the point over here. So answer of this question is of course D. We'll go to the next question. What factors do banks consider while developing pricing models for their products and services? What factors do banks consider while developing pricing models for their products and services? Market dynamics, risk perceptions, return expectations, tenor durations, resource position, customer profile, market demand, resource allocation, regulatory advices, asset liability management practice, customer needs, market trends, and the customer preferences. So what do you think? What can be the answer of this? Yes, answer of this question is 1. First is the answer of this question. Market dynamics, risk perceptions, return expectations, tenor durations, resource position, and customer profile. Again, this is one of the very common thing. Either they are asking this question in that way, or they are asking these questions in the breaks, okay, by considering different aspects, or which of the following is not. In that angle, they are asking the question. So one of the very important factor. So remember that. We'll go to 17th question. What is the difference between retail banking and the corporate wholesale banking? Again, a very common and most easiest question when it comes to the exam. What is the difference between the retail banking and the corporate wholesale banking? Retail banking deals with corporate clients, whereas corporate banking deals with the individual client. Retail banking is a mass market banking model, whereas a corporate banking is a niche market model. Retail banking is a business to business approach, whereas the corporate banking is business to customer approach. Retail banking has high ticket size loans, whereas corporate banking has low ticket size loans. Yes, answer is right. B is the answer. Retail banking is a mass marketing banking model, whereas the corporate banking is a niche marketing model. So B is the answer of this question. We'll go to the next question. What is the difference between horizontally organized model and vertically organized model in retail banking? Horizontally and the vertically organized model. Again, there many of the times they ask the question regarding that, and the questions were very simple, very easy questions. What is the vertical model? What is the horizontal model? The difference between, so multiple type of questions they have asked from this particular concept. Horizontally organized model is a product oriented, whereas vertically organized model is a customer data oriented. Vertically organized model is a product oriented, and horizontally organized model is a customer data oriented. Horizontally organized model is a modular, vertical organized is a centralized, whereas vertical organized model is a modular, whereas horizontal is a centralized. So answer is 1. Horizontally organized model is a product oriented. Okay, when horizontally, so it will be divided depending on the product. Okay, when we talked about vertical, it is about the customer's data oriented. Okay, so customer data oriented functions will be there. Horizontal is all about products. So different products are there. So depending on those products, the working will be there under horizontal, and horizontal is one of the very favorable concept they have. So that will be the important scene. So remember that when we talked about especially public sector banks or even the new private sector banks, this horizontal model nowadays become very famous because they are not only providing the deposits and the loans, they are also having many financial products, and these many financial products are really very helpful for the customer, and that's why this first is a absolutely correct answer. We'll go to the next question. What is the difference between retail banking and corporate banking? NPA impact is less, the difference between depending on the NPA, non-performing assets. So NPA impact is less in the retail banking, cost of deposit is relatively less. The NPA impact is higher in retail banking, cost of deposit is relatively more. NPA impact is higher in corporate banking, cost of deposits relatively less. And NPA impact is less in corporate banking and cost of deposit is relatively more. So what can be the answer? Depending on NPA means basically assets, the bad assets as well as the deposit facility. So depending on that, this classification is being asked here. So answer is NPA impact is higher in corporate banking. Okay, the cost of deposits is relatively less because when it comes to corporate deposits, current accounts are mostly preferably used. So when it comes to current account, you are not giving any kind of interest. So the cost behind that, and also liquidity will be maintained in a very quite well manner. That's why the cost for maintaining these deposits are very, very less. But when it comes to retail banking, might be NPA impact is not that big, but the cost of deposit is very high because there are multiple types of accounts the customers are going to open, and every account will be having some interest rates, especially FDs and RDs, and there will be another like few accounts will be the no frill account, 0 rupees account. Some accounts will be created through government schemes, so create a liability for the bank also at the same time, and a huge liability, and that's why the factor is that. Impact of obviously retail loans or NPA is comparatively less, okay, when we talked about the corporate banking, and that's the scenario regarding this. Okay, I'll move to the next question. What is return on assets, ROA? Very simple, very common, and most of the times they ask this question. Return on asset: the amount of interest earned on securities and loans, the amount of income a bank earns on its net interest income and fees on its services, interest received on assets minus interest paid on the liability, the average interest rates earned on assets minus average interest rates paid on the liabilities. Yes, Answer of this question is 1. The amount of income bank earns on its net interest income and fees on its services. Okay, so what income they are earning and net interest income and the fees on its services. So in that way, the return on assets being calculated. We'll go to the next question. What is the balance approach for banks' success? Balance approach for banks' success. Only focusing on cutting costs, improving operating efficiency, upgrading capabilities to respond to market needs, only improving operating efficiency, only upgrading capabilities to respond to the market needs. Okay, so what is a balance approach? So balance approach is, of course, B is the answer. Improving operating efficiency, upgrading capabilities to respond to market needs. So B is the answer of this particular question. Okay, we'll go to the next question. What is the main focus of improving branch profitability in the banks? Main focus of improving branch profitability in the banks. Meeting customer demands, following strict regulation, understanding customer behavior, improving sales culture. The main focus of improving branch profitability. Yes, answer is understanding customer behavior. There are many other factors, of course, to increase the branch profitability. There are many other factors, no doubt about that. But the one of the prime factor will be that if you're able to understand the customer's behavior, customer's need, then automatically the more and more customers will be linked with you, and the profitability scenario will increase automatically in the long term, especially in the long term. And that's why it is very important. If there is no proper communication with the customer, the behavior is not good. So in the long term, it will create a huge problem for that particular branch, and which we often see, which we often experience. Yes, guys, next question. Which of the following statement is incorrect? Which statement is incorrect? Okay. Profit is an absolute amount whereas profitability is a relative one. Profitability is an absolute amount whereas profit is a relative one. Profitability is a measurement of efficiency of a company in relation to size of the business, whereas profit is an absolute number determined by the amount of income or revenue above and beyond the cost and expenses of an entity incurs. Although a company can realize a profit, this does not necessarily mean that the company is profitable. So which is the correct answer over here? That's the question in front of you. Of course, sorry, incorrect, which is incorrect. So answer is profitability is an absolute amount, whereas profit is a relative one. This is a wrong statement. This is absolutely correct statement. This is a very good definition of profitability and the profit, that explanation. And although company release a profit, this does not necessarily mean the company is profitable. Okay, suppose like once in a while they got the profit, but that doesn't mean the company is a profitable. Okay, like for 1 quarter or for 1 month they got the profit, they got the excessive income because of some sale, because of some any reason. For example, there is a festival season going on, because of there are some sudden upsurge in the market, so because of many reasons. But that doesn't mean that institution is profitable, because to make something profitable, a long-term angle or the long-term numbers are very important. That's why many of the times RBI is asking for consecutive 3 years number to check the profitability of the institution or the profitability of the bank. If some bank wants to create their own subsidiary in any ways, or either for the insurance subsidiary or for the mutual funds or for any other angle, so RBI is usually checking last 3 years balance sheet and checking the profitability for last 3 years. If they are satisfied with that, then only the permissions are being given, and that's the concept here. Now, next, increase staff productivity is one of the most important tool to increase branch profitability. Out of the following, which one is not true? Which one is not true? Okay, again, the question is about not true. Reducing process cost, clearly defining expectations and scorecards, improved motivation and reward systems, technology alone is sufficient to increase the staff productivity. Answer of this question is technology alone is sufficient to increase the staff productivity. So increased staff productivity is one of the most important for the branch. Okay, reducing the process cost, then clearly define the expectations and the scorecards, improve the motivation and reward system. These are going to work, no doubt about it. I'm not denying that they are not going to work, but the best thing which will be helpful in short term as well as will give the very better and 100% result, that is the case, because rest of the things they will provide the result or not, we don't know. And profitability, might be it will give profit for the short term, but profitability is the concept, then we need to work in that way. So that is the case. Again, now the one factor is that the question is here alone. So obviously not alone, because in short term it will give the very good thing, but rest of the thing, for example, good motivation, reducing process cost, and these will be working in a long term angle. So we'll compare, we'll come up with all the factors together, then the long term and the sustainable profitability will be there. For the short term angle, these things will work in the manner. Okay, I'll go to the next. Yes, guys. I guess answer is already there. What is a customer segmentation? So customer segmentation is a concept. So customer segmentation is a strategy to group customers having similar needs. So A is the answer of this question, a strategy to group customers having similar needs. I'll go to the next. Which of the following is not a customer segment in the retail banking? Not a customer segment in retail banking. Okay. Low income group, okay, is not a customer segment when it comes to mass market, mass affluent, ultra high net worth individuals, or the customers that can be, but low income group is not a segment actually, and that is another factor. Question number 27, what is the highest credit score that can be assigned to credit information companies? We already know the credit score like 300 to 900. So 900 will be the highest which can be assigned to the credit information companies. CIBIL is one of the very famous which we all know about. Which one of the following is not a credit information company? Not a credit information company. Okay. Might be it is a credit rating agency, but not a credit information company as per the RBI, as per the RBI's scenario. Yes. Yes, answer of this question is CRISIL. CRISIL is the credit rating agency, but not the credit information company. No, absolutely not. Credit rating agency, CRISIL is right now working under S&P, Standard & Poor's. So it's a rating agency. Remember that factor. What is the maximum size of a house for economically weaker sections under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban? Okay, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. So the scheme related questions, especially Awas Yojana related questions, are really very common these days, and they're asking for urban as well as for the rural. So answer is 30 square meter carpet is the answer of this question. So remember that. I'll go to its website. Okay, let's see. I guess the link is not there. Okay, it's not working. Fine. In the next session, in the beginning of the next session, we will discuss about this in detail. We'll go through each and every pointers regarding Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, so that there should not be any confusion. The last question of the day. What is the eligibility criteria for the credit link subsidy scheme under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban? What is the eligibility criteria? Answer is economically weaker sections and low income group. That is the eligibility criteria with comparison to that. Okay, yes, the link is here. So Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, we all know. 2.0 guidelines are there. So I will talk about 2.0 guidelines because these guidelines are issued in September 2024. So they are the new guidelines. So according to new guidelines, we need to have some understanding what exactly the features are there. So I will discuss about those features in a shorter way. Okay. Just one sec. Yes, guys. So, like if it is in metro city, okay, so affordable house, the carpet area is up to 60 square kilometer, metros 90 square kilometer, non-metros with a house value of 45 lakh, which is the new 2.0. Affordable housing in partnership, if the partnership is there, 25% of the houses are less than 45 square kilometer for EWS category, okay, 45 square kilometer. Beneficiaries, the beneficiary family will comprise of husband, wife, unmarried son or unmarried daughter. Family belong to EWS, LIG, MIG segment living in urban area should not own a pakka house either in his or her name, in the name of any member of the family. Okay. Now, building material and technology is there. Carpet area. Now, that is a major important factor. So, carpet area, the point is here. Yes, I guess there is one point. The net usable floor area of an apartment, excluding the area covered by the external walls, areas under the service shaft, exclusive balcony, veranda area, and exclusive open terrace area, but includes the area covered by internal partition walls of the apartment. So they mention how they are going to calculate the carpet area. That mention is being here. Okay. So complete project, the complete project with all respect to on-site infrastructure, internal roads, pathways, common green area, boundary wall, and central sector scheme. So completely implemented by central government. That is a factor which is mentioned over here. Okay. So these are the cases. So यहाँ पे सारे pointers mention किए गए dormitory के लिए, EWS houses के लिए. तो ये भी एक factor यहाँ पे ध्यान में रखना है. So ये नई guidelines है 2.0 guidelines, and 2.0 guidelines obviously will be really very important for the exam point of view. Yes, guys, that's all from my side for the day. We'll see you tomorrow, and tomorrow also we are going to discuss some important topics which are being asked repetitively, and that will be the case. Okay, that's it. Bye bye. Take care.